Today marks the 6th anniversary of the massacre at the Sandy Hook Elementary School in Newtown, Connecticut. 20 children and 6 adults were murdered.
Since the Sandy Hook shooting in 2014, there have been at least 239 school shootings nationwide. And with rising public concerns over increased school shootings, schools all over the country have increased their security. Here at good old PHS, we are no different. Petoskey has now implemented new security standards. The school is now required to lock all classroom doors, along with the doors going to the outside of the building. The only way to get into the school during the day is to go to the front door and be buzzed in by secretaries who can see the person that is being buzzed in and has to unlock the door for them. Some students and teachers complain that the security is unnecessary, as the chances of there being a shooting at the school is very unlikely, and they believe that the shooters could still get around our security system if they really tried. While administration, the public, and the police department see this as necessary to protect our students from any kind of threat to their safety, we decided that we would have an interview with some of the students, teachers, and administration around the building to find out more about Petoskey security and what people think about it.
So here I'm with Aaron Frampus, a student who's dual enrolled at the college and spends most of his day there. Aaron, do you think it's worth it to lock the doors?
Yeah, I think it's worth it. I mean, just purely for security, I think it's the best way to go. Like, I don't know what else they're gonna do to prevent possible school shootings or anything other than lock the doors unless we get better equipment. So I think right now locking the doors is effective.
All right, Aaron, my next question is, if a stranger really wanted to get into a school, do you think they could?
Oh, definitely. Okay, so I know personally, if I see someone outside and they're knocking on the door, and as long as they don't look sketchy, I'm gonna let them in. But absolutely, if they're decked out in just weird clothes and stuff, I won't let them in. But and especially for getting into the office, you could just say, "Oh, I'm dropping off my kid's lunch," and they'll go, "Oh, who's your kid?" And then you can just say a name, and they'll go, "Okay," and then they're inside the building. And there they go.
All right, Aaron, my last question is for you. As a student who has to come into and out of the high school throughout your day, do you find it a hassle that the doors are locked?
No, I don't think it's bad. The longest I've ever waited was probably 30 seconds to get into the school, and in the grand scheme of things, it's not bad at all. So no, I don't think it's a hassle.
Do you think the doors are just like a good extra step to have, even though they might not always work?
Yeah, I think it's a good extra step. It makes people, if they want to enter the school, it makes them try to enter the school, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Thanks, Aaron.
So then I decided to sit down with a student who spends most of their day at the high school and has a different experience with the school security than Aaron.
So here I'm with Merrick DeCastro, a student at the high school who does not have to leave during the day. He's here pretty much the entire day. So, Merrick, my first question for you is it worth it to lock the doors?
I feel that it is not necessary to lock the doors in the type of area we are, and also I have not seen any sort of threats or problems without locking the doors. Since I've been here for the past 4 years and we never used to do it, I just feel that it's an extra precaution added. I see where they're going at, but I don't really feel it's necessary in our school.
All right, Merrick, my next question for you is, if a stranger really wanted to get into the school, do you think they could?
I feel that it would be kind of quite easy. I mean, usually the students let anybody in, but also the fact that you can really get a visitor's pass, I think you could probably get one quite easily. I've never gone through it, but I don't know how you go through that. But I feel like a stranger could get in the school pretty easily because even if the doors are locked, they usually let anybody in.
All right, Merrick, my next question for you is, do you think we need to lock the doors to the classrooms, and do you think it's a disruption to class?
I feel that we do not necessarily need to lock the doors to the classroom because in a situation, we could lock it at the point of the situation start, and also it does disrupt class slightly when you have to open the door for the person. It's not a huge deal, but it's still a little disruption or distraction to the class environment.
Then I decided I'd sit down with a teacher to get their point of view on the school safety issue and if we should lock the doors or not.
All right, so my first question is, do you think it is worth it to lock the doors?
Yes. Yeah, I've locked my doors for about 20 years. I just haven't always had it locked and closed. But yeah, I've locked my doors for a long time.
Do you think our school identifies potential threats when they're at the door?
At the outside door?
Yeah, like could they identify them if there was?
I think so, yeah. People in the office are trained well.
Do you think if a stranger wanted to get into the school, they could if they tried?
Yes.
So do you think it's an effective policy?
To keep the doors locked and closed, I think it will help, and I think that the people miss out on the point that the mentally ill who are armed come to school to shoot people. They're going to be successful, especially if they're planning to kill themselves in the process of doing that. So we lock our doors, we go through lockdown drills to minimize the number of people that are killed. However, I did some research on this, and since 2000, there have been 188 school shootings nationwide, at school and university, 280 deaths, 423 injured, which is terrible. But since 2015, there have been almost 50,000, 49,812 overdose deaths by children or young people ages 15 to 24. I tend to believe that drug addiction and those types of issues start when you're in high school, even middle school age.
Mr. Gross believed that we should focus more on preventing drug overdoses and less on school shootings, as the chances of a school shooting happening are not very big and there's more deaths from drug overdoses.
There's a very, very vague chance that it's actually going to happen. I mean, in all the schools, you're talking about 188, but the 50,000 to 280 is pretty devastating.
Yeah.
So I would think they should probably try and focus more on the drug abuse and drug overdose that they can fix versus the potential insane person getting held with a gun and coming to school and trying to murder people.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Should we lock the doors here at PHS? It seems like from the interviews that most people think we should, because it's just an extra precaution to take. Even though it may add a little hassle to getting into school, it's worth it just to have a little extra precaution.